Apparently, Lego is now under attack for not being inclusive enough. You know, those little Lego toy bricks that a lot of kids play with that have interchangeable parts. Apparently, they're not inclusive enough. They're not inclusive to the LGBT, IA plus whatever acronyms they decide to add on. It's not inclusive enough to them. And apparently, it was featured in a tour of some sorts about queerly things queerly. And yeah, it's not inclusive enough. You know those the Legos, those toys that you can interchange any part you want and make anyone look how you want them to look. Not inclusive enough. Nope, not inclusive enough. So we have this article from the Telegraph, kind of breaking it down. Though they're a little bit biased in this article. So it says here, Lego can be anti-LGBT, says Science Museum. The institution's Seeing Things Queerly tour claims people think the toy bricks are gendered and reinforces idea of heterosexuality is the norm. First of all, uh, the toy bricks do not have gender. They are like visual representations of things. I mean, I have a Lego just right here by me. It's Lego Star Wars. Like it's meant to represent things in media and real life. So nothing about it is gendered. I mean, this guy doesn't even have like an actual face. None of it's gendered. And then heterosexuality is the norm. Yes, it 100% is the norm and should be the norm. And that's not me bashing people that aren't heterosexual. That's just a fact, because how do we sustain life on this planet if we aren't having babies? How do you make babies? Well, all I know is that the same sex people can't make their own babies. So you need to thank all the heterosexual people for making the babies. That's literally how it works. And our species wouldn't continue to exist if we didn't have heterosexuality as the norm. So it 100% should remain so, and it is so. It's 100% normal. And it's not to say that anything is not unusual or not normal about people being gay or whatever. No one cares. But what I do care about is the population crisis we have on this planet, and not enough people having babies. So we need more people to have babies, and you shouldn't be demonizing people that are heterosexual. It doesn't make any sense, especially in the context when talking about a Lego, like a literal plastic toy. It doesn't have gender. Lego can be anti-LGBT, the Science Museum has said. A self-guided museum tour on stories of queer communities, experiences, and identities includes a display of Lego bricks alongside a guide stating the plastic blocks may reinforce the idea that heterosexuality is the norm. Again, it is the norm. It should remain the norm. That's not to say you shouldn't be gay, but we definitely shouldn't, like, we shouldn't say that heterosexuality isn't the norm, because it clearly is, and it has been for thousands of years. The majority of people are heterosexual. If you don't know what that is, that just means you like the opposite sex. That's all that means. The tour, devised by a gender and sexuality network at the museum, also claims that Seeing Things Queerly guide that Lego adds credence to the view that there are only two genders. I don't really understand that. I don't understand how Lego adds credence to that when I can literally take parts from a Lego, I can take off their heads and stuff like that, and I can go and put them on a completely another, I can put them on other characters and make any character I want. So if you want a technically queer character or whatever the hell that looks like, you can physically make one using Lego. Just because they don't have a Lego set that has some weird non-binary looking character doesn't mean anything. You can literally make one yourself using Lego. We're also talking about the same company that partnered with Fortnite to make a Lego survival game where they had a random event that would pop up where it was literally an LGBTQ plus flag and a bunch of Lego characters dancing. So I don't see how Lego's not inclusive enough when they're purposefully trying to make themselves more inclusive. It's also, again, you can interchange the parts whenever you want, so it's not like they're forced to remain one sex or the other. You can literally switch the parts on them. So it literally doesn't make any sense. These people don't know anything about Legos. This is because people supposedly describe Lego bricks as having male or female parts that are made to mate with each other. This is heteronormative, the guide states, which is the idea that heterosexuality and the male female gender binary are the norm, and everything that falls outside is unusual. It's not that it's unusual. Everything that falls outside it is not unusual. It's just it's not the norm. Again, heterosexuality is the norm, and it's not like there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being gay either. Some people are gay. That's just how it works. But heterosexuality, I keep mispronouncing it. That is 100% the norm, and it should remain the norm. Most people, the majority of people, should be heterosexual. The Science Museum Guide claims that people think the top of the brick with sticking out pins is male, and the bottom of the brick with the holes to receive the pins is female, and the process of the two sides being put together is called mating. No one has ever called it that. That is not at all what it is. And if you don't know what they mean, they're literally talking about the little dots on Legos. They're talking about like the dots on their heads. Apparently that's the male part, and then when you connect it to the bottom of a Lego piece, that's the female part, which doesn't make any sense. And you can also attribute that to many things, like with electrical wiring. They have these things called butt connectors. They have the male and female butt connectors, and they describe it that way because that's the easiest way for people to understand it. You have one piece that plugs into another piece. What do you call it? You call it a male and you call it a female. But in terms of Legos, I have never once heard it called that. I have never called it that myself. I have many Legos just around me on my desk right now. I've never called it that. That is absolutely outrageous. And calling it mating, these are kids' toys. No one calls it friggin' mating. No source is provided for the alleged view, and people consider Lego to be gendered. No source is provided for the alleged view that people consider Lego to be gendered, because it's not. That's something these people made up. Or that sticking bricks together is called mating, because, again, it's not. It's something they made up. The claims have been criticized by the charity Sex Matters, which campaigns to retain women's-only spaces and sex-specific services. Fiona McKenna, probably said that wrong, director of advocacy at Sex Matters, said the Science Museum's self-guided trail on all things queer is completely bonkers and includes some absurd claims. The idea that Lego is heteronormative because the blocks are described as male and female is ridiculous. It's not heteronormative, whatever the hell that means, because I can literally take any Lego piece and connect them to other Lego pieces and make anything you want. That's kind of like the whole point of Lego. You buy the sets, and then after you buy them, you can choose to build the set or use the parts for whatever you want. I have many Legos that I have just destroyed over the years to make other things that I want to make. And characters, I used to take parts from other characters and combine them into one character that I liked. You can do that. People can do that. You can take female hair. You can take a male's head. Like, you can combine any of these parts you want in Lego. So it doesn't make any sense that Lego is somehow heteronormative. It doesn't make any sense. And described as male and female. The blocks are not male and female. There's no male and female Lego blocks. They're plastic. They're toys. They're visual representations of things you would see in media and everyday life. It's literally that simple. These people are looking way too far into it. Children who play with Lego don't need to be told that some people say fitting Lego blocks together is mating. Certainly not. You should certainly not be telling kids that fitting Legos together is mating. That is incredibly weird. Do not tell kids that. That's weird. People expect to be informed, educated, and inspired when visiting the Science Museum, not to have dubious claims rooted in gender ideology forced on them. Right, you're supposed to be the center of science. You're supposed to be based in facts and logic. There's nothing factual or logical about claiming this about Legos. This is just absolutely absurd. Other stops on the Seeing Queerly tour advertised on the Science Museum's official website, including a display of the Billy doll, a toy launched in 1992 that was intended to depict a gay man. There's no image of that here. A Spitfire has also been included because a pilot who flew one of the Second World War fighter planes, Roberta Cowell, born Robert Marshall Cowell, would later have transgender surgery. Cowell was the first British trans woman to undergo gender-affirming surgery and change her birth certificate, the guide states. I don't know what... See, it's really confusing when you do this. This is why I'm totally against the transgender stuff. You're actually changing history when you do that. I'm assuming this was a guy, because it says, first trans woman. So this is a guy, and you're saying that he changed his birth certificate to a female, which is not rooted in science at all. That's not rooted in reality. This person clearly has a mental disorder that causes them to view themselves as something they're not. And we shouldn't be encouraging that through things like being able to change birth certificates. That's absolutely ridiculous. I don't know how else to describe that. It's sad that these individuals go through this kind of turmoil, but we shouldn't be encouraging it. We certainly should not be encouraging it. It does not help them. It doesn't help us as a society who should be focused on truth and facts. It doesn't help anyone. The self-guided tour, first devised in 2022, makes other claims on the subject of gender and sexuality. The guide steers visitors to a pair of preserved Seabright Bantam chickens, a pair bred by scientist Thomas Hunt Morgan chickens to investigate the genetic inheritance of plumage. He discovered the role of chromosomes in heredity, winning a Nobel Prize. Visitors are told that while a biological human female usually has XX, sex chromosomes, and a biological human male generally has XY. Other features mark sex, including hormones, genitals, and characteristics like depth of voice and hairiness. It adds that there is a diversity in the presence of the combinations of sex-determining features. That is 100% true. That is completely true. But one thing that does not differ between the sexes is your genitalia. You as a female might have more testosterone on average, or you as a male might have more estrogen on average, but that does not make you any less of a male or female. It is a combination of these things, sure, but you cannot come to me and say that that person with a penis, male genitalia, is a female. That is not ever how it has worked. That is not ever going to work that way. If that person has more estrogen in their body, that does not make them a female. If they have the ability to get a woman pregnant, they are certainly not a female themselves. And that works vice versa too. If you have the ability of being impregnated by a male, you certainly aren't a male yourself. That's just fact. That's reality. It adds the diversity of gender and sexual identity has been controversially covered by the Science Museum in the past. In 2023, the museum dismantled a trans-inclusive display following complaints it was pushing propaganda and not biology. Because it is. Trans-inclusive display, I don't know what that looked like, but there is male and female. That's all there is. There can be variations between them. There are intersex people that do exist, but intersex people are a class of their own, and they're also less than 1% of the population or something like that. So yeah, there's male and female, and then sure, if you want to tag in there, intersex, no one cares, and typically intersex people will identify with one or the other sex. They don't typically identify as intersex, and they don't typically identify as non-binary because they're literally stuck between the binary. So, no, it's just absolutely ridiculous. But a cabinet titled Boy or Girl displayed quotes describing the transition from the wrong body as a hero's journey and labels characterizing gender as something difficult to define, which may not match your biological sex. So I say this a lot. That's because gender doesn't exist. Gender does not exist. It was something that was created in the 1950s. And the reason it's difficult to define is because usually what you end up seeing is people defining it as personality. They define your gender as your personality, which makes a lot of sense when you see people making their sex or how they appear in everyday life their entire personality. They can't do anything without mentioning that they're trans or that they're non-binary because they make it their personality. It is a personality trait. So that's why gender is something difficult to define and why some people describe it as fluid, because your personality can change. Your personality may differ as time goes on, and that's perfectly normal. And this thing that I see a lot of people say, transition from the wrong body, there's no such thing as the wrong body. You are born in the body you're born in. There is no such thing as a wrong body. If you believe in God, God doesn't make mistakes. He put you in that body for a reason, and that's just how it is. There is no such thing as a wrong body, and telling people that they can have the wrong body is detrimental to their health, their mental health especially. You should not be telling children and mentally fragile adults that they are in the wrong body. You should be teaching them to accept themselves as who they are, not telling them to be something that they'll never be. It's absolutely horrendous that we've been doing this to people. There is no such thing as the wrong body, and there's no such thing as gender. Everything that you're describing here is just detrimental to people's mental health. The display featured a fake penis and chest binding equipment. Of course it did. The Science Museum has launched a separate volunteer-led tour to mark LGBTQ plus History Month, which runs through February. This tour does not include the Lego bricks. Why? Why? If you want to have an LGBTQ plus History Month tour, why not include Lego? Because, like I said throughout this video, you can literally interchange the Lego brick parts. So if you want to have non-binary or transgender Lego figures, go ahead. No one is stopping you. Lego's not even stopping you. Lego would probably encourage it. The Science Museum Group, a family of museums across the country, is led by Sir Ian Blackford. The former banker has spoken out against woke causes, and in a piece for The Telegraph in 2021, he warned that cancel culture was the enemy of the culture sector, saying museums must steer clear of political activism. I agree. There should not be politics in science, yet it's all over the place. It's riddled with political activism. Lego, founded in Denmark, has campaigned to eliminate what it called gender bias in its products. In 2021, the company pledged to tackle the problem of an age-old stereotypes that label activities as only being suitable for one specific gender. The Science Museum was contacted for comment, but I guess there was no comment added. So as far as Lego trying to be more inclusive, all you have to do is walk down the boy and girl aisles at any store now. You'll see that they have Legos meant for girls now, which is perfectly fine. They also encourage girls and boys to buy all of their Lego products, which is perfectly fine. I don't see any problem with that. And of course Lego's going to do that because then it opens up their market to more buyers. If they just simply focused on boys, they would have only half the market share. But when they branch out and they reach out to females or girls, of course, that increases their market share. That's a business, that's just a smart business move. So, of course, they're going to branch out and try to get rid of stereotypes or whatever you want to say, because it makes it to where more people buy their Legos. Like, I'm not going to stop buying Lego Star Wars just because they started making female Legos. Like, I don't care. If girls want to buy Legos, go ahead. No one cares. Literally, no one cares. And it's super weird to be calling Lego like gendered. Like, Legos aren't even gendered. They have no gender markers. And it's honestly funny because when you think about it, what they're seeing is they see Lego figures that are supposed to be depicted as male, and they're like, "Oh, look, it's a male Lego." And it's like, "Oh, how do you know? How do you know? Are you assuming the gender of that Lego? Are you assuming that Lego's gender? How terrible of you. How do you know that Lego doesn't identify as a woman, huh? How do you know?" The answer is you don't, because they don't have any genitalia. They're literally plastic pieces of toys. They're just plastic toys. You're reading way too far into this, and if you want to read that far into it, still, like I said, you can interchange all of their parts. So congratulations on being absolutely retarded. It never ceases to amaze me how stupid people can actually be. I love Legos. I still collect Legos, even with how old I am. And it's just funny to see this. It's funny to see that they're making a fit about something that literally doesn't matter and literally doesn't exist. But I guess that's what people do. When there's nothing to complain about, they just make problems out of thin air. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Thank you guys for tuning in today. If I sound a little weird, it's because I just had my wisdom teeth pulled out. I wasn't sure if I was going to make a video today, but I saw this story, and I wanted to talk about it, so here we are. But I'll probably be back tomorrow. Maybe I'll make a video or two, depending on how much news there is. My face does hurt quite a bit, but I've got some medicine, so it's all right. But thank you guys, again, for watching. Like, share, comment down below, and most importantly, subscribe. We're about to hit 200 subscribers, so I'm excited for that. Thank you guys for watching. Peace out.